They are. Yeah, they can't multitask. I don't ever have to worry. Oh, absolutely. Very smart. Probably told me one time that you were the smartest person she ever met.
All right, here we go. Thank everybody for being here. We do have a work session agenda, but we're not going to follow the order of it. We're going to have a couple things out of order. First, I think Mr. Hubbard has an appointed place to be, and he's going to go over some of our updates on projects that we have going on before he has to cut out.
Yes, we had a pre-bid on the access road. We had several contractors that did show up, which was encouraging. That's always a good thing because it sort of tends to drive the cost down. They sharpen their pencil a little sharper. I do know I was talking with Chris Davis yesterday, and there were several addendums maybe going out, quite a lot of questions coming in. So working on that, I've had a couple call me on a few things, so that's going. Also, the lighting at Sullivan East, met with the architect. Also, Musco has been there, BTS. I've been talking with BTS on that, so trying to get some plans together and details on that project. But it seems to be looking okay with what we're going. Our big projects during spring break last week, our ESSER projects, the Sullivan Heights, they did set 5 of those rooftop units that are there. There's still 3 large ones that has not got delivered yet. So we don't know when they're coming, but they shouldn't be too far. I have not got a delivery date. Last meeting, I mentioned to you all that the Sullivan Central Middle School, I have a hard time putting middle in that, the switchgear, it has been delayed. I got word today that there's a possibility it will be shipped into April.
What was that again?
The switchgear that have been delayed so many times, I did get word today that there's possibility. I think so many people's called it Squire D has given, it was pushed up and it's been pushed and pushed. So the general contractor is about to have to leave the project. He's done. So we are at that point that now, if it's not 100% confirmed, but they felt like that it would be shipped and we would get it into April 1st of May. And I hope to get a definite confirmation on that in the next day or 2. Indian Springs project, moving along fine. The security entrance that we're doing, a lot of that work was done over spring break. Rock Springs, HVAC, they worked on it some. There's some they cannot do until school's out. So they pretty much tied all their ends up on it. The boiler at Murray Hughes, everything is done on it. The boiler is not on site, but it has been delivered. Work will not commence on it until we are definitely out of the heating season. Then they will start taking that boiler out, okay? But right now, it's just there. And I think that's most of our big projects that we have going. Any other questions on any more that we have?
Position stands to captain.
It, finally, last week, AEP did put the pole in and the meters installed. So now we've got one concrete apron we couldn't pour until we got the final inspection to make sure the ground was right and all that. Because we thought if we pour it, he's gonna want to see it, and he wouldn't be able to see it. So we've got one apron to do and just a few fixtures inside. It's painted, it's pretty much done, and then just dress up around it. But it's pretty much, when AEP got their part done, then that was my big hurdle right there, and it was done last week.
You have a time frame on that? When it'll be about,
No, as far as pouring that one apron down that one side, I haven't really looked that far ahead to the weather next week. I'd like to get it poured next week if we got weather to do it. And then I think we got a few fixtures inside, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And other than that, it's pretty much,
yeah, I looked at it, I guess it's Monday, Tuesday. It's not.
yeah, yeah, actually, I think it turned out a little bit better than, and we give you some more room, you know what I'm saying? I think we've done a little bit better than the other one. It's pretty much a identical twin to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It matches real well if anybody went by and saw it. But, you was there when, Monday or Tuesday?
I think it was Monday or Tuesday.
Okay. I was there one day and the power pole had been set and the power line had been run to the weatherhead, but then that meter wasn't in, and then the next day I was by there and the meter was installed.
The day I was there, they had it hooked up. So.
Yeah. So that was done, so that was pretty much finished. And that's pretty much on all of our projects that we have going now, and it's just, Indian Springs, there's still a question about some of the electrical on it, but they've not been told it's not gonna be, but they were just, since the central project and some of the others are just in the back of their mind a concern, but they have not got anything on the delay on it yet, but everything should be, and it looks real good inside the hallways with the new, ceiling tiles in it and stuff like that. It really brightened that school up. Anything else?
Thank you, Charlie.
While we were mentioning the West Ridge Access Road, you'll see on your agenda for the work session, the first item there mentions that we need to have a call meeting on the 15th of April. The reason for that is the bids for the road will open on the 10th. For us to have an opportunity to get Ms. Baylor, they can confirm everything and get it all ready, and then for us to get on the county commission agenda for a resolution by the 18th, we would need to accept the winning bid. So that would be the question, is what time could we have? That would be the only item that I'm aware of that we would need to have on there. Is 4:30 okay with everybody? On the 10th, on 15th, bids open on 10th, excuse me.
Mr. Carter, one update I forgot was the multi-purpose building at West Ridge.
What was it?
There's been a little hiccup with power supply. BTS did not, like, you know, those big panels there at the softball, where you go down there with the electrical panels. Thought they could pull out a bit, but BTS, the transformer again, they just want to set another service, and we think, nah, and another one of those contracts. And we were there today in the middle of a sleeting storm. We think there might possibly be enough power in the Musco panel that we can pull power out of it, and we won't have to go through that.
Where was that?
At West Ridge,
Got it,
at
got
that
it.
multi-purpose building, and it's almost completed. They just like some of the roofing yet, but other than that, it's almost to the finished stages, except for the power.
We were working on the roof on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, they had a subcontractor, and they finally just, and they finally took it on themselves. There was a little bit of dragging their feet, so they kind of
On the access driveway, those trees they did take down to begin with, but they're taken down now. They're going to get those ground up again, or?
I think, if I'm not, no, I think that's,
That's just when they've just been
Just
part of,
part of it?
Yeah.
part of.
a big issue that came up, that one of the contractors bid, one of the bidders called me about, and I told him I could not confirm or deny, was as far as the way they, after they got the CAD drawings, they quantified up, they think there's gonna be extra dirt and stuff. So it's like, is there somewhere on site we can put it? If we have to haul it off site, the cost is gonna go way up as far as trucking. So we feel like in a way that surely we can find somewhere there, but I throw that back to the engineers for them to go out, and then there was addendum that's supposed to go out to everybody else, because it wasn't fair to me to confirm with one person that he could or couldn't, and somebody did it different, so I
I
haven't.
emailed back and forth with Don Reismeyer from APM this morning about that topic. He was recommending move it off-site, because it says excess material. So I asked him, does that mean rock and dirt, or just dirt, or what are we talking about? And he came back, he said, we would need to clarify that, but that's why he said, in his opinion, moving it off-site.
Okay.
But, like Charlie said, it's dirt, and if we wanna keep it around for a while, there might be a project that can benefit. So,
And then the next thing's finding where
Finding where to put it.
to put it, who would take it, where would put it.
is there any interest one way or another?
And I think that could be well, I don't know how you put that into the alternate though. It'd be yes or no, you know, it's not like, well, if you put it on site, you got this cost, you don't want, but it'll just drive it up. If I'm not mistaken, and I may be speaking out of turn, but I have heard that we're gonna build some ball fields maybe up here for the middle school, and you might need some dirt there, possible. So that could be a possibility, but I don't know yet until you do the engineering on that, but they said they might possibly need some there, so if we could stockpile it there, but I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't wanna jump that far ahead and not need it or whatever, but that was just a discussion that I was in today.
I'd do the addendum and have them be responsible for moving wherever.
Yeah, but I told them they just had to put it out to where it was fair to everybody bidding, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
They did one addendum already, you know.
that plus the multi-purpose building, that was the other one that I wanted to get in that thing on, so. You know, I don't know how it's gonna come out, but we'll see. Problem is, there's a lot of land there, but you're either impacting a creek or it's not a good place, you know what I'm saying? And I drove the whole property today and I don't know.
There's no place for it.
No.
You gotta stay-
I don't,
you gotta
nobody
stay
can tell me how much.
50 You gotta stay 50 feet away from the creek.
Yeah. If it's 2 dump truck loads, and I can find somewhere to put that, if you got 50, that's a whole different ballgame, and I don't know how much cubic yards they got to move, they didn't, nobody told me.
They got 5,700 in the rock, on the bid on that, 5,700 cubic yards.
You don't want that sitting around.
No.
I mean, they'll use some of it to fill that swaggin and then build that pond, but
Right.
maybe not all of it. But I just wanted to mention that to you, that did come up, okay?
Any other questions for Mr. Hubbard or for any of those projects? Let him go ahead, move on down the road.
I've got my phone if you need it.
Thank you, Charlie, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have a presentation from Tyler Technologies. It'll be on the screen up here and about behind me as well, whichever one works best for you, but this is regarding the GPS equipment that would be installed on our bus, contracted buses, and also on our special ed buses.
When they're talking
Good
about
evening.
tablets, pay close attention to that
Good
part.
evening.
How you doing?
Good. You've got a room full of people looking at you.
All right. Hello. Thank you so much for having us. Are we ready to go ahead and get started?
Yes, ma'am.
I know we have 15 minutes or so. Just introduce myself. Brittany Altieri, I work for Tyler Technologies. I've got Jason Riley on the line with us. He's our solutions consultant. I would just do a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about today. It's called Student Transportation Powered by Traverse. And it's our all-in-one solution for transportation. It's cloud-based, so we can connect directly with your student information system. We offer unlimited users, and we do not charge for that. The system comes included with routing, fleet management, field trips, custom reports. We have our parent app, and we have our Tyler Drive tablets, which go onto the bus, give turn-by-turn directions for drivers, timekeeping, pre-trip, post-trip inspections. It's just a total transportation management solution, which is typically how transportation departments have operated in the past, and y'all can probably relate to this a little bit. So historically, transportation departments work with multiple vendors, piece together their transportation operation. So you've got vendor A for routing, vendor B for GPS, vendor C for timekeeping, vendor B for fleet management, and all of these vendors have different logins, different training plans, different support teams, and data is just never as fluid as districts are told that they would be. So the powerful transportation management solution under one umbrella results in all of these areas working seamlessly together with real-time data flow. So it's very important. It's a big reason why Tyler, we have 2,500 partners using our solution right now within the United States and Canada, seeing lots of growth in it, and it really does lead to this solution right here. Over here on the left-hand side, our routing and planning, that really is the foundation for a transportation operation. You really want to have solid routes built and created, but the solution does come included with field trip management. We've got fleet maintenance as well, track parts, work orders, inventory. Parent app is a really nice feature where you can send push notifications to parents. Parents they basically download an app onto their phone and they can access their children's routes. And then right here in the middle is our live GPS option. Both of these options here are our live GPS options. I know Sullivan County's talking about and wanted to consider both, but the tablets in the middle are really very helpful for drivers. So they connect directly onto the vehicle. Drivers can log in with a 4-digit code. They sign in, tracks their time, and then they take the tablet off the bus, walk around the bus, and they can complete a pre and post trip inspection. When they complete that, there's something wrong, maybe there's a flat tire or something, they can take a picture of that, and the tablet can actually generate a work order, which goes into the fleet maintenance module within the program. So that's where all of this data, everything's very connected. Student ridership is another feature of our tablets, where students get an RFID scan card. When they scan, all that information goes into our parent app, so parents know real time where their kids are. Kind of prevents a lot of parent phone calls that districts typically experience. And then that information also connects back into our software solution as well. So secretaries at the different schools can type in a student and pull up that record, see where that resident was scanned on last on the bus. Again, live GPS here, and then our GeoTab option on the right-hand side are really helpful for your vehicles. Driver behavior, you're going to get all of those engine diagnostics. Again, vehicle behavior, tons of reporting functionality, accident recreation. So this is our full solution right here. So right now, we can maybe ask for some feedback or questions, and Jason's on the line. He can pull up the parent app or pull up the tablets or really whatever you want to get into related to the actual product, what you wanted to say.
Any questions?
So the tablet, if we have a tablet, when a student gets on a bus, our driver will know if that's a student that is supposed to be getting on that bus. Is that correct?
100% correct. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take over the screen from you, Brittany. That way I have my tablet up and showing. So as you mentioned, driver logs in, they get the 3 options across the middle of my screen here, the runs, inspections, timekeeping. So as a driver, they would just click on that big My Runs button, brings them to anything that they're assigned to for that day. So routes, activity trips, everything that they're assigned to in the software would show here. The beauty with the tab is it knows all of your routes, all of your stops, all of your students, and it has the same local map that all the routing is done on. So all that information, turn restrictions, capacity restrictions, all that goes on the tablet too. But to your question, 100%, if they click on a route, they can see whatever students are assigned to it, right? We see 8 students, 5 stops here in the detail screen. They can click on that students tab at the bottom to see all of their individual students here. If we jump into the route itself, as soon as they get to their stop, it'll pop up with that student screen. So if I go to the details here, I just have to turn on a quick simulator just so I can show you, feed some GPS data to the tablet here, because I'm not sitting in a bus. Second. So as a driver, they would simply just hit that start driving button. It's a PM route here, so we're going to start at the elementary school. As soon as the driver pulls up to the elementary school, the photos, the student names, all of that's going to display right on the tablet for them. So as a student, as Brittany mentioned, they get an RFID card. These can be customized to your district, so they'll have, Sullivan County on them, okay? They can use them, also other places in the district too. So if it's a, multi-use card, maybe the library or the cafeteria, it's not, just doesn't have to be specific to transportation. But they jump on the bus, they go ahead and scan their card, and then loads that student onto the bus, okay? So if it was a student that wasn't assigned to this vehicle, right, they weren't assigned in the software, they tried to scan on, software is going to notify the driver automatically, tell them, hey, this student isn't assigned to this bus run. Maybe it's a kindergarten student that just got on the wrong bus, right? Maybe they want to go to the one behind us, or maybe they're going home with a friend, right? The beauty is that if you load this student as a driver, you can hit that green load button. That information, right, the scan, the location, the date, the time, the bus they were on, the run they were sent to, that all can be reported on from the software. And we can also share that data out to the parents. So anytime one of these cards is scanned, that information seamlessly goes back to the software and can also be shared out with the parents.
Life of the tablets.
So once we get them loaded on here, they would simply just go ahead and start driving. That gets them their turn-by-turn directions. They're audibly read to the driver, as well as shown on the screen here. They can visibly see in the middle of the screen. So those come directly right out of the software, so they're customizable, as well as if they get off path, software is going to utilize that local map, so that same map they're using for routing to get them safely back on path in the safest, most optimized way. So just like you were at the first stop, once you get to that second stop, those same students, whoever's assigned to that stop in the software, will pop up and allows you to do your student tracking there.
I think we have another question.
So sure, go ahead.
How long does the tablets usually last? What's the replacement cost? And then a follow-up question. Can the system and/or the contractor see the planned route compared to the actual route on a daily basis, each route?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, so to your first part of your question, typically we say budget for every 5 years. But I say that we have some districts that utilize our tablet since version 1. We're on version 4 of our tablets now, and that was 10 years ago, and they still haven't replaced theirs. So it really just depends on a multitude of factors, right? It is a battery-powered device. It's a Samsung Tab Active 3. So, depending upon how the battery life is, right? If it's extreme hot conditions or extreme cold conditions, it impacts that. So, really district policy comes into play there, right? Maybe taking the tablet off the bus in the summer and into the office, just prolongs it. But we typically say 5 years for the replacement. As far as cost, Brittany can get into that at a later date. I know we had some time schedule with Justin and go through the pricing, and because we added Tyler Drive a little bit late in the process. So I don't know those numbers off the top of my head. That's not my expertise. But to answer the third part of the question, with regard to safety plan versus actual, 100% in the software, you're able to search for any route that you want to. Pull that up in the system. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a P versus A tab. That's our plan versus actual information. So that blue line in the middle of the screen, that's that plan route, right? What the software thinks is the route for the day. You can overlay that GPS data right from the tablet into the solution just by saying, okay, what vehicle did that route for the day, right? It's normally assigned to 110, but hey, maybe 104 did it that day. The date and time for the GPS data, hit display, and it pulls that onto the system. So it's a demo database, I don't have the best data in here, but you're able to see, hey, where did we skip stops? Make any unplanned stops? Did we miss any stops, right? What were the times that we got to each of those individual stops, right? So you're seeing a complete operational, view here, and you're also able to update the plan based on the actual data. So if those times were vastly different, or the driver was doing something every day to avoid a stop that caused them, a couple extra minutes in the morning, what the solution can do and what the folks can do in the routing side of the system is click on this update run button. It'll take that actual data and update the plan, updating the stops, updating the times, making sure it's as accurate as possible. Obviously, we're going to share that information out with the parents if we have the parent app too. So making sure those times are accurate, hugely important, because that's the number one call in transportation. Say, where's my bus? When is it going to get here? So if we can curb those calls and stop them from happening in the first place, it's a win-win.
Any other questions?
If a student doesn't have their ID card,
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so on the tablet, they don't have to have cards if they forgot one. The driver, all they have to do is hit that green load or the orange unload button, and it tracks it just the same as a scan. So simply click on the tablet and it loads that manually. Then you're actually able to see that as a difference in the software too. You can see, okay, I see that Jessica here didn't have her card for the last week. What's going on? So you have, some transparency with the data as well.
what's the learning curve for the bus driver that they can then run their route fairly normally without losing time with all of the computer stuff?
Yep, yeah, great question. So with regard to training, for drivers specifically, we'll come on site and do training with your drivers, in person. So they're working with your data, with their route that they're working on a daily basis, and their students that they're working with. So it really is a hands-on experience. Obviously, driver buy-in is a huge, ask and a huge lift for this project, right, with the tablet. So that's why we see on-site is the best way to go. I don't know how many sessions it is. Brittany, do you know offhand how many sessions they do with the drivers?
I don't, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so it's typically I think it's a 4-hour session, maybe probably 4 of them, I believe, in the week. I can confirm that. But it's a pretty easy solution to handle. It's big buttons. They're working with their routes and their students, so they can jump in and run their route that same day with the tablet.
Okay, a follow-up question to that.
Yep.
Not just Sullivan County, but definitely statewide, if not nationally, there's a huge turnover in bus drivers. So once you come in and once we train those that are current bus drivers, in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, we're going to have a different bus driver. So how do we go about training them?
Yep, so typically we'll train the trainers in that same process as well with implementation. So it's not necessarily just the bus drivers in training. It could be an administrator from the county or someone from the contractor that would eventually, be part of the training process for new onboarded drivers. That's typically the process for that. We see that in the market, it's a huge added benefit for sub drivers that aren't familiar with the route at all, or the students at all. But all they have to do is know how to use the tablet, plug it into the bus, and they get all their turn by turns, all the students, all that information, seamlessly from the software. So the driver retention, we've seen, a huge uptick with the tablet solution, right? You can track GPS in your phones. Everyone has that in their car right now. Why don't we have that in the buses? Why, this is really to making the driver, the seamless transition and really empowering them out on the road.
Thank you.
Yep.
If a student has a friend that wants to come home with them and they're not in the system, does the tablet take their picture and load that up there?
So it would only recognize that student if they existed within the student transportation system. But I say that with the student transportation system is not just limited to only students that take transportation. So I'm assuming in that scenario, you're probably thinking someone that might get dropped off to school by, mom and dad, and then on a random occasion, they go home with one of their friends. We'll pull all of the student population into student transportation into the software, and then it allows us to filter down to only the students that require transportation. So yes, they might not be riding the bus on a day-to-day basis, but we still have that student record in the system, and it allows us to find them in the tablet to pull them on.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sure that the bus driver would be limited to just probably the first screen in Power School, which would give them access to address, emergency telephone numbers, etc. Correct?
Exactly right, yeah. So if they were looking at a student record, they would be limited to however the district wanted to limit them. So my demo, say the database is set up to show them the routes that they're assigned to, and then under more details, it shows them the same information that you just mentioned, right? The emergency contact and the phone number. So the district, you all have complete control over what you share with drivers, as well as in the software, what information folks can access. Everything is permissions based in the system, so you can, and it comes with unlimited users. So I know in our conversation with Justin and Jeremy, we talked about sharing out information with the contractor as well. So they can have a login into the software, but they're restricted to only seeing the information that they should see. And maybe it's read-only access, right? We have that capability here in the software. So whoever needs access to the information and what they need access to, we can certainly accommodate with our permissions and data access.
So they don't do it during the drive, they don't have to do it during the drive.
Any other questions? All right. Do you have more presentation? I think we're okay with questions right now.
I'm happy to stop if you don't have more time. The only other thing I would show would be the parent app, the parent application to show that. But it's completely up to you. I know we've taken up the 15 minutes. I don't want to go too long if we don't have time.
I think we want to see the parent app.
Okay, perfect. So let me pull that up real quick. Let me turn off my simulation real quick. All right, so as Brittany mentioned earlier, Parent App, it's able to be downloaded right from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It's called My Ride K-12. We also give you a website, a URL that's you can tie to your district website as well, so they can look up this information from there. So as a parent, you have to register to gain access to your student, right? So no one has, they don't have access unless they know some authentication details, right? The student ID, the birth date, whatever the district decides is those authentication factors. But once they get access to their student, they can see them right on this main screen here. They go to that details button. That's where they're able to see that similar detail that you can see in the software, right? The address they live at, the school they go to, right? Some basic details about the student. More importantly, they go to that schedule tab at the top, and this is where the district has a little bit of control as well. In my database, I show 5 days out in the future, so they can see any trips, any runs that they're assigned to in the software. If they hit a little drop down here on the right-hand side, they can see basic details about the run, right? The days of the week it goes out, the pickup, drop-off location, the driver, the people that it's on. From this, you can also see those scan details on that scan tab here as well. So anytime they scan on or off the bus, parents can also get a push notification for that as well. So since my 2 runs are already completed for the day, because it's over 5 o'clock here, I'll go to look at the map via the bus location option. But if it's scheduled and it's upcoming, they'll be able to click on View on Map option, and it pops up a similar screen to this. So they can see, I'm just going to do one specific run here. At the top of the screen, they're able to see the map, the route path, and actually the physical location of the bus. So all three of those options is district controlled. So you have control to say, this is what we want to show them. We want to give them maybe the bus location and the map and not give them the whole route path, because we don't want them driving 70 miles an hour to get to the next stop to catch the bus. But I will say, right, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Don't give the parents everything, but make sure you're giving them enough information so it answers a lot of the questions. Down below, that completed icon, that'll change based on where they are in the route. So if they're on time, it'll tell them that. If it's early, it's late. The times down the bottom will dynamically adjust. So this time here, 3:30 is our pickup time from the school. It's a PM route. That 3:47 is our drop-off time. So based on where that bus is in its route path, that time is going to dynamically update. So the parents are always able to see an updated ETA in here. With the tablets, it'll designate the right vehicle and the right driver that are on this. So if they made an update for the day, maybe there was a sub driver, that would be noted here as well. Or if there was a bus substitution, it would be noted in here as well. Connects with our dispatching tool. It's called electronic rollout sheet in the software as well. So everything's interconnected. And making sure we give them the right GPS when they're tracking the bus is also hugely important. Last piece of the parent app, I think the most important piece, especially for transportation, is the ability to communicate to parents quick and easy from the software. So if I do a quick side by side here between my parent app and my software. Sorry, my screen got really small. I don't know who's excited for the Masters, but I am. You can see it, I got the national background. Okay, from the software, you're able to go right to the student list, or you can go to a specific run, so either one works. I'll show the student list just for today. But you can filter it down and say, all right, I want to message everyone that's on that gorilla run here in the afternoon. I go ahead and filter, hit apply. It's going to knock out my list. It's only going to show those 55 students assigned to the bus. I go ahead to my actions button, notify my users. I have to authenticate because I don't want to give access to everyone to send a message to parents. But maybe we'll just say bus 111 is going to be 20 minutes late. If I could put a 0 instead of an O. 20 minutes late today. Please don't call transportation with a nice smiley face at the end. Go ahead and hit send, hit yes. That's immediately pushed out of the app as a push notification. So they receive it just like they would a text message. So much quicker, much easier solution than kind of the old-fashioned pick up the phone and call those parents, right? Because by the time you get to the 50th parent, the bus is there and gone and it doesn't matter anymore, right? So the ability to push information out quick and easy, huge benefit to the parent app. Also a two-way communication, so if you want to, they could send messages to you. But parent app, that's really what it's meant for. Quick, easy communication. Any questions on that?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, with that'll end everything that I'll show today. I do appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for letting us jump in and show you the solution. You see some benefits in today and what we can provide for the district. We're really excited to partner with you. But I'll leave it to Brittany to close us off, and then everyone else have a great rest of your day.
I think you did great, Jason. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Justin, we're all set. Can't see you, but.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Any questions for Justin?
No questions for Justin, but it was the poor, is that us or them? Or
I
combination?
think it was him, because he was on his headphones, and his mic was like real staticky on his
It was
headphones.
bad with her too.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
it's true.
What?
Not enough bandwidth, Wi-Fi here, yeah.
Well, Randall couldn't hear us the other week. I mean, I don't know if that's yet another issue. I'm not sure how or what, but we probably need to
Address it.
address that. It's not like I got a headache.
I just checked with someone, who's listening, they're having trouble hearing each other, so.
I mean, I can imagine you all out there.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say that, you know, I've been working with Justin now for several weeks on this transportation, and he's done an excellent job, and I really appreciate all the hard work. I mean, there's been a lot of work going into this, and he's doing awesome. I appreciate him.
Go ahead, Paul. Is the contractors on board with this?
So,
The notes,
yes,
like the tablet, and they,
so, yes,
I'm Jeremy Blair with Central Buses for the ones that know. Roger Cox with S&R Buses. You know, I had been in a meeting with her last week too. Some of the concerns that we had in that meeting, I was there, Roger wasn't, I'll just say that. You know, some of the issues on Power School that we've had is that the addresses are not correct. Or let's say they live with mom, but they get off the bus at dad's house. So getting a student list of what kids are on the buses now is very difficult. So using this app, as long as Power School is up correct and up to date, I think it could be beneficial for sure. It's just, that's the hard part, is getting the student list.
I was thinking, to that point, it's only as good as the data you put in.
Exactly.
So if you start out with flawed data, we end up with flawed data. So whose responsibility is it going to be to make sure that's exactly right? Is it going to be on every principal? Is it going to be on? I mean, surely Justin's not going to be responsible for every kid that's on a bus knowing where they're at. I mean, that's a ton of work.
I mean, I would think, who does Power School now at the schools, the secretaries? It would just have to be, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of changes.
There's tons of changes. When people change address, they don't necessarily run to the school and update their information.
Right.
So it makes it
You
difficult.
can't even get it, and I'm
Close.
speaking here as a principal, you
Yes.
can't even get it when you ask for it.
No.
That's true.
Every year I was a principal, I sent out a sheet, a long time ago, they had us do it, and then they quit, and I just kept doing it. But you sent out a sheet every year, a paper. Bring this back in tomorrow. Have your mom, your dad fill this out, bring it back in tomorrow. 6 weeks later, I'd still be on the PA saying, don't have your yellow data sheet yet. I need those yellow data sheets in. And meanwhile, they're probably already moved 3 times during that time, so, I guess it would, the only way that it would work would be that we would do it the old way that we do it, with the bus drivers know where they live, and then we would integrate and hopefully be able to do that, but they'd still have to go back to their common sense of,
Exactly.
Sally gets off at daddy's or grandma's on Thursdays, and I know that,
And
even though the address doesn't say that.
And we asked that question to them, I didn't ask it now, but during that meeting, and they can put multiple addresses in, and they can pull multiple addresses for different days. So if she does perhaps get off
Right,
on
Tuesday and Thursday.
Thursday,
Then you can set it up to where, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she gets off at this address.
yeah,
Tuesday, Thursday, and we can manually put that data in, but,
and it'll automatically come to their tablet. I think that was one of the biggest concerns, and then the safety of the parents having the exact location of the school bus.
I don't-
Disgruntled parent coming to steal a child away from another parent or something like that, that was one of the other concerns.
yeah, and like you said, we could,
You can limit the
Yeah.
information, now that would, I think that solves that problem.
That was one of the things that I wondered, like, how do you keep, say, like, divorced parents, and one's got custody and the other one doesn't,
right,
and the parent that's not supposed to be around the child not having access to that,
right.
as far as safety issues.
To get the app, the parent has to have permission
Yeah,
and
they have to-
access, so that can be filtered, right?
Yeah, I think there's like an access code that they have to get, and so as long as we do not send it out to that parent, then they won't have access. It's not a shared code either, so it's per device. So I couldn't give you my code, and you couldn't see, you know, anything.
Well, that play,
So-
say if we needed to withdraw their access, is that
Right.
easy as a hit of a button?
It's a good question.
Say that
My
again,
question
Colin.
is,
That needed to withdraw their access to it, or just a simple,
so I've got a kid, and I'm married, and all is well, and I get access to this app, my wife gets access to this app, I'm sure it's the same code for the same kid, both parents have the same login. We get in a big knockdown drag out, daddy goes to jail, whatever, dad's still got that access, but dad's got no protection against him now, can't be around that kid. Can you filter it by device, by MAC ID for the device that's logged in there, daddy's device, does it capture all that stuff, or how does that work?
In that situation, would you put in a new access code?
How do you know? I mean, and the problem
But
is,
if you don't know,
the
yeah.
problem of the question of the hour is, how do we, collectively, we know that happened?
That mom is more than likely gonna be there at 7:30 the next morning with those papers to tell you, Daddy can't have them anymore. He made me mad Sunday.
You would hope. One would hope.
Yeah.
that's why, that was my question, is it just a simple touch of a button and access is withdrawn?
I mean, I think that's a
Yeah,
question,
and
you know, can you get more than one access code for a child if need be?
And then the training was the other, just some of the drivers, they have trouble doing their safety class every year online, and it's hard for them to use a computer. They come to the office and we help them through it, how to get on certain websites, and being able to use a tablet, that'll be challenging for some.
And I guess that's where my question was leading, how would they feel about using that tablet and having to punch that information in if they didn't have their card?
Yeah,
Or
I
how are
mean,
they gonna
knowing
feel, because that's gonna
children's,
slow their route down if they have to do that.
It will, it'll slow things, especially at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Routes will probably be behind a lot. You know, I don't know. I know they probably, it'll be half and half. I mean, some will love it, some probably won't like it. I think they will get used to it eventually. I don't know.
If they stay with it.
Yeah, if they
That's
stay
the
with it. I
problem,
think,
I mean, because a lot of the people that drive the buses are retired. And, you know, in the generation that I grew up in, I didn't have a computer till I was up in years, middle age almost. So, I mean, and then you learn how to use that, and sometimes, you know, if they get out and accidentally hit the wrong button, then, you know, how they figure that out? Who do they call? How can we fix that? Why, you got a busload of kids. And and this is just, from my point of view, is some of the drivers that haven't, that, you know, are older and retired, they may not want to try to figure this out. And, I mean, and I understand that. I like learning things and stuff, and that's what they'll have to do. But it's gonna be the proper training with patience and time, and they're gonna have to be compensated for it, or they'll be gone. Some of them will. Probably more than you want.
but I will say, ultimately, I mean, for me, I love the technology. I mean, I think it's great. It's just utilizing that, making sure that people are putting the information in where they need to go on PowerSchool. I think that's the key. Like, the information's key, 100%. It's a useless tablet if we don't have the right addresses put in where they need to be.
Isn't that as complex or as simple as drive, road, avenue?
Yeah, I mean,
Things like that have to
exactly.
be-
That'd be exact.
Exact.
Because there's 4 Olinger drives we found. Olinger Drive, Olinger Road, Olinger Avenue.
And
I
they
mean,
all,
it's-
yeah.
You know, we ran into that multiple times. It's like, oh, you're talking about Olinger Road. Okay. So it's gotta be pretty exact. I think that's, you know, making sure that, and updated and everything. For a sub driver, it's amazing, right? If it's correct. For a sub driver, in my viewpoint, getting on a bus where you have no idea what a kid looks like, where they even live. You have a route sheet that is probably not 100% correct. Getting drivers to update that is very difficult. So being able to look at a picture and saying, okay, now this kid gets off here and having turn-by-turn directions, I mean, that's amazing. I would love that, if it was correct.
As long as they don't get glued into the tablet and.
Yeah, I mean,
Once the road is still important.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll say, over 30 plus years, and working with elementary students, I know of situations where a student was in the wrong line and got on the bus, and then frantically, parents call my kids, where they're at, and they left, they're not here at school, and they're on a different bus, so if it could help that, and that doesn't happen, it's a rare thing, but if that happens, it definitely causes a lot of angst for everybody, and so that would, like I said, that's definitely not a normal or a regular occurrence, but it would help eliminate that. Any other conversation?
Did we get clarification about whether it's cellular-based Wi-Fi or both?
Cloud.
It is, it's based on a cloud and it.
But
Right, but the
how does it
means
get
of-
there?
Yeah, how do you get to the cloud is what I'm asking. Because you
Yeah, I
can
mean,
get to the cloud either way.
I'm sure it's like LTE or
Yeah,
cellular.
so cellular,
Yeah.
okay.
So is it gonna work in the offset?
I know, that's what I was,
Right.
that was
Yeah,
gonna
is
be
it
my
gonna work
question,
for
there's
Down
gonna
the
be.
holler.
Yeah.
And do we build the road route?
Nope.
Map,
They do
okay,
all that, yeah.
so I guess they could tell us.
Before we
in
commit to
that.
this, can we test one of them in some of these places that I know that we don't have cell phone signal?
Right.
That's what I was gonna say, cause there's gonna be
There's a
parts
lot.
of the route
I
that.
mean, there's quite a bit of area, 421,
Mhm.
Tree, Offset,
Yeah.
down in the Beach Creek, that their cell phones do not work.
That's why you test it.
That's what I'm saying,
If your cell phone don't work, if you're mapping, if you had your mapping on your cell phone.
And I'll get with Brittany on all these questions and just top up a big email, just
yeah,
see if I can get with her. So I'm sure she'll have,
we throw a lot at you.
yeah, that's okay.
All right. Still staying out of order since we're with presentations. Dr. Palmer, at the bottom, towards the end of the work session agenda, we have additional learning program as a title. Dr. Palmer asked me to, Ms. French and Mr. Hilton are here as well. They can introduce themselves when it's time.